Hey everyone, fraction of the day today is 7/8, 7 over 8. To write that in word form, it's SEVENEIGHTHS. To display it, we're going to cut our circle in half and then in half horizontally. And then we're going to do 2 diagonal cuts as well, so kind of like we're cutting a pizza. And we will shade 7 of those pie shapes out of the 8 that we've created by drawing those lines. Then for a rectangle, we're going to cut across horizontally here and divide that into 2 parts, and then cut across vertically here to divide into 2 parts. And then we're going to cut it vertically again into 2 parts on each section there. And then we've made 8 sections. We're going to color in 7 of those sections for 7. It is closest to the number 1, as you might imagine. If you look at this, you can see we're very close to 1 whole. But I always like to graph it on a number line before I decide what number it's closest to. It just makes it a little bit easier for me. And so we know it's a fraction between 0 and 1. We're going to draw in 7 lines to divide this into 8 spaces as equally as we can make them. So we're going to draw a line here to cut it right in half first of all. Then I'm going to divide each of those 2 sections that I made by putting a line right in the middle of those 2 to cut those in half. And then I'm going to take each one of those 4 sections and draw in another line to cut those in half. Alright, so now I have drawn in 7 lines and I should have 8 spaces here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces. And we need 8 spaces because we're dealing with eighths here. Alright, so the number of spaces matches the denominator. So I've labeled them. We start with 0 here, 1/8, 2/8, and then we realize that 2 and 8 can both be divided by 2, so that's also equal to 1/4. 3/8, 4/8, that's our halfway mark, so we know that that's equal to 1/2, and both 4 and 8 can be divided by 4. 5/8, 6/8, both of those divide by 2 to make 3/4 as well. 7/8 and 1, and we know that 1 is always equal to any fraction that has the same numerator and denominator, so 8/8 is also equal to 1. So again, we can graph our 7/8 right here by putting our dot in, and then we know that 7/8 is closest to 1. For equal fractions, I took my 7/8 and first multiplied it by 2 top and bottom and got 14/16. Just a reminder, you can choose any numbers you want here. And then my 7/8 times 3 top and bottom to get 21/24. And then my 7/8 times 20 top and bottom to get 140 over 160. Okay, so in this next section, how much more until the next whole number? Well, if we're at 7/8, we just need to go 1 of these spaces over to the next whole number 1, and so that would be just 1/8. And then to write an addition sentence. So I always rely on my equal fractions up here to write addition sentences because that makes my work easy. And so I chose 14/16, and I said, what 2 things can I add together to get 14? And I thought, well, I'll do 3 plus 11. So I did 3/16 plus 11/16, and I know that the 3 plus 11 gives me 14, and then we keep that same denominator. And of course, because of my work up here, I know that that 14 over 16 reduces to 7 over 8. So there is my addition sentence that equals the fraction of the day. Our other fraction that we're going to work with today is 1/3. And here we're going to compare 7/8 and 1/3. So we're going to use that butterfly method. I'm going to just make this diagonal oval and then multiply across and up. So 8 times 1 is 8, and 3 times 7 is 21. So we see that 21 is larger than 8, therefore 7/8 gets the larger section of the inequality sign pointed toward it, and the smaller section, the point, goes towards the 1/3 because 7/8 is greater than 1/3. Right, this week we're going to do our operations on our own and then turn those in for a grade. So we are first of all adding 7/8 plus 1/3. Remember to add, we've got to get common denominators, and in order to get a common denominator, just multiply this fraction by the denominator from the other fraction and multiply this fraction by the denominator from the other fraction. So in other words, just multiply by the opposite denominators. 7/8 we'd multiply both top and bottom by 3, and 1/3 we'd multiply both top and bottom by 8. And then we can do our work and make sure that we reduce if we need to. All right, and then down here 7/8 minus 1/3, we'll have gotten our common denominators up here already, so we can use those down here. For multiplying, we'll multiply 7/8 times 1/3, multiply straight across. Remember, you don't need to worry about common denominators here. And then dividing, we're going to keep the first fraction the same. We're going to change the operation to multiplication, and then we're going to flip this one upside down. That's called the reciprocal, to make that 3/1, and then we'll multiply. So we really never have to divide with fractions. We always change that to a multiplication of the inverse. Don't forget over here when you get your common denominators that we never add those denominators. All right, guys, finish this paper up and then turn it in.